let's see those feet.
I mean,
I should have been. I should have been recording this whole time, and I was not.
Oh. Well, Zoom was. So.
Hello! Look, it's me on the bridge of the Enterprise D. And now I'm a giant on top of the Enterprise D. Ah!
That's awesome.
So that's about what I can do.
Yeah.
Which bridge are you on, MC?
The Defiant.
Oh,
And
okay.
say
that makes
nothing
sense.
more.
That's awesome.
Hey, is that episode
Yeah.
on the list? It should be. Yeah, it must be.
Probably. We'll double check. This list is going to just keep getting longer. Eventually, it's going to be everything.
Shh, don't tell him the plan. Hello, and welcome to Too Young for This Trek, a nonsensical Star Trek podcast where we're watching a whole lot of Star Trek in a completely randomized order, with 3 people who've seen it before, and 1 who has no idea what's going on. I'm Troy.
I'm MC.
I don't know what's going on. I'm also Tyler.
He's the one who doesn't know what's going on. Get it? It's perfect.
And I'm Erik.
It kind of sounded like you said you were an Erik, and now I don't trust you very much.
No, it's pronounced
Are you-
Narc.
Are you good? Are you evil? There's no way of knowing until season 2.
Well, I am the mysterious man in shadow, so. Without a webcam.
So for today's episode, just as a reminder, if this is your first episode, welcome. It is the first episode. It's a good one to be your first. What we've done is we made a list of what we think are good episodes and bad episodes of Star Trek, and then we've just given Tyler the titles to select from. And for his very first one, we know where Tyler's head is at, because what he picked was The Naked Time? The Naked Time.
The Naked
that it?
Time. Yep, that's
The
it.
Naked Time. Which once he picked it, we revealed was a episode from the first season of Star Trek, the original series, that Tyler watched the preview of and guessed that this was going to be a bad episode.
Uh-huh.
I'm giving up my hosting duties now. That's all I've got.
So do you want to know where my mind was when I picked this episode?
I mean, yeah, if you have something on that.
Yeah, so I think what I was thinking is I really like the Naked Gun movies. And so seeing The Naked Time just stood out to me. There's also, so there is a movie with Leslie Nielsen called Naked Space.
Naked Gun. Oh.
That is probably a parody of Star Trek. I saw it once. I used to own it, but then it got stolen. And it was really bad, but yeah, I looked into that a little bit just because I was curious if it was a Star Trek parody, and I never got that far. But I found out that the movie has 3 titles. I forgot what the actual original title was, but every time Leslie Nielsen was in a property that got like big, like Airplane and The Naked Gun, they changed it to a title that was similar to that. So it was also called like Spaceship, I think, at one point.
Oh, weird.
So, yeah. So those people were trying to get that SEO before, search engines.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I think Troy just went non-corporeal.
He just like phased through.
I realized that there was music playing on the speakers in this room, so sorry to Tyler for future Tyler who has to edit that.
I couldn't even hear it.
But you will on the recording.
I like how my background, it works somewhat, but then like the ferret cage is still there. So like you'll just see them walk up and down like throughout space.
So if I sit in the right position, you can see me, but there's a few spots where like things will pop back out if I go in front of them.
That's so weird. We'll have to post a photo of what we're looking at on social media.
Yeah, I can post a short video because it records that. So
okay. Nice.
Yeah, anyways. So
this is too young for this trek, and we clearly don't have our shit together.
No, not at all.
I think we have our shit together just as much as anyone does during global pandemic 2020. So
That's a fair point.
we're doing fine.
Yeah.
So I didn't intend to pick an episode that was related to that, but
Yeah, wow. Holy crap. That worked out.
yeah,
I think before we go further though, Tyler, give us your like 2-sentence reminder of what this episode is for somebody who's watched a lot of Star Trek but is like, which one's that again?
okay. So the Naked Time is the episode where the crew of the Enterprise go down to a planet and pick up a disease that makes them drunk, and then they accidentally travel 3 days into the past.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna be honest. Listen, I love y'all, and I love Star Trek, and I was watching this episode in segments, but I have a child, and I have my child today so that my wife can get a bunch of crafting stuff done that she's wanted to do, and I was trying to watch Star Trek while holding him, so I was watching it like 4 minutes at a time, and then I got about halfway through and got him to fall asleep and was like, I'm just going to lay down for a few minutes here. And then I woke up to messages saying like, hey, are you guys ready to record? So they travel back 3 days in time. Yeah, I definitely remember when that happened at the end of the episode that I watched the whole thing of. Yep.
Yep. Well, luckily, it has no importance to the episode, really. It kind of just
really
is a
doesn't.
thing that happens.
Yeah.
I definitely remember this episode. I mean, there's some pretty iconic moments in it, but that ending I completely had blanked on. The fact that they went back in time randomly. And this was pretty early on in the series, so I want to say this is the first instance of time travel. So it was kind of interesting the way they worked that in.
Probably is.
So Discovery takes place before this, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
And I've watched none of that, but I know Spock is on it. And you said there's a time travel episode of that. So has Spock time traveled before this?
The time travel episode of Discovery is not...
It's a season.
Spock isn't there.
Okay.
No.
And it's also a very particular kind of time travel.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just curious if Spock was like, this is a new thing, and it's not. Like, he's done it before.
Well,
I mean, I don't know how much we want to tell
it.
you about, like, what comes up in Star Trek that we're going to watch, but, like, hey, this ship travels through time a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of happens a bunch. There's also different dimensions.
Oh.
We've brought up the Q dimension before. There's other things that there's other universes that get brought up. There's a whole bunch of stuff
Star Trek's
that happens.
good. I'm excited
in
about
this
this
show. Yeah,
Dude,
it's great.
This episode is bonkers.
Yeah,
I
okay.
love that you chose this one. It's kind of the perfect one to start with because we're just jumping into the weirdness.
So, the whole plot to the start of this episode is they're going to observe this planet that was Earth-like at one stage before its sun blew up because it's collapsing in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a research team that was hanging out here, but they've gone quiet. So they're like, we're going to spend Spock and Lieutenant Redshirt down to the planet to check things out.
He has a name. His name is Joe.
Wait, is that? Oh, it is Joe. I was
is
thinking
Joe.
it was Flynn or what's his name?
He also has a last name. It starts with a T, but I can't remember. So I'm going to say his name is Joe
T.
Tamale.
Dumbass, because Joe goes down to the planet and he's wearing full PPE, stuff that our medical people need right now. And he's like, let me just take my glove off while I touch some stuff. And then he touches things.
He literally took his glove off and then touched his face immediately.
Yeah.
He went under his mask.
Stuff, and then went under his mask to touch his face. To be like, oh, my nose itches. And then anyway, let me put my glove back on. And Spock comes back and he's like, did you touch anything? And he's like, no, sir.
This almost felt like an after-school special about the coronavirus, but it was made in the 60s.
I love the sound effect that it makes every time someone contracts this disease. It sounds like a rattlesnake. It's like,
yeah.
The maracas of doom.
I thought it was kind of clever that you couldn't see it, but that you could tell they noticed something was off.
I mean,
you know,
you
like
could
they
see
felt
it,
the
'cause
germs.
They also started rubbing their hands like madmen every time they got it.
Yeah, and they got like real sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious reason is because they had no budget on this episode. So, you know, they couldn't really do any fancy effects. But I think it works better because you can't see it, just like a real virus.
Except for the first time you can see it because it's like this red
that's true.
thing.
Yeah.
This red goo that reaches
Yeah.
into him. I just realized this is
creepy.
more or less a bottle episode. They've got the one set that they make of the frozen planet, but other than that, everything's on the ship. No
What'd
new
you guys
sets.
think of that frozen planet, by the way?
It looked
spooky
like
looking.
shit.
It was really spooky.
It was styrofoam. It was like it looked like someone came through there with like spray insulation and sprayed everything.
I kind of liked it, but I thought it was funny that body on the ground was clearly a mannequin.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But it was still, like, the planet itself was kind of spooky looking. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
Tyler, did you make note of some of the deaths that they found people in on the planet?
Yeah, I was about to ask, why do you think that guy was showering with his clothes on? Like, why was that
I'm
a
glad
thing?
you made note of that.
Yeah.
Have you never been drunk and
important.
taken a shower with your clothes on?
I have once.
I mean, I think most of us have gotten at least something close to that at some point.
Relatable content right there.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't on purpose. I just got in the shower and then remembered my clothes were on.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know if I've ever done the clothes on, but I wear my glasses into the shower at least like once a month. I get in there and I'm like, wow, this shower's dirty. It needs to be clean. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I've got my glasses on. Let me just take this off. Now I can't tell.
Yeah.
That's a good life hack for you. Just be blind and then you can't tell how gross things are.
So, one time when I was drunk, I got in the shower with my socks still on. That's probably
amazing.
as bad as it got.
Yeah, I was fully clothed. My phone was in my pocket. It was great.
Oh, no.
I don't remember if my phone broke or not. It was back when we had like, I don't know, maybe I had like one of like a super early smartphone. It was either that or a flip phone. So it was
The ones
built
that
like a
were
tank.
really, really susceptible to water.
Nope.
So back on the Enterprise, everybody's hanging out in the lunchroom, and O'Flannery or whatever his name's like, Sulu, why do you do fencing? And he's like, it's exercise, dude. Get off my back. And they're like, Joe, what's up? And Joe's like, what the hell are we doing in space? We're all crazy. We're all gonna die out here. We should just kill ourselves with butter knives right now.
Yeah.
It was a butter knife.
Yep.
It was so clearly a butter knife.
I
Well,
love
it was
that.
a space butter knife. So
They're trying to wrestle away his butter knife from him, and then he falls and stabs himself with it.
Well, and I love that, like, there's all these other crewmen just kind of watching on, you know, in
Yeah.
the corner. They don't get involved, but they're just kind of like eating popcorn off to the side.
So Joe goes to medical, and what's his name? It's not O'Flannery. What is it? Flynn? No.
O'Reilly.
It's something Riley. It's not O'Reilly. It's just
O'Reilly.
Riley.
Well,
And I
he
keep
says
wanting to be
O'Reilly at
O'Reilly.
one point, so
Have no fear, O'Reilly's here, and one Irishman is worth 10,000.
That is so over the top Irish right there.
I mean, he's very proud of being Irish. So
He is.
he and Sulu go to the bridge, and they're like flying a cool spaceship, and then it's crashing, and Kirk's like, compensate. And O'Reilly just sits there, and Kirk's like, compensate! And he just sits there, and then Kirk reaches over and flicks one button, because that's how you fly a spaceship, and goes, compensate! And O'Reilly's like, oh, that button. I didn't think of pushing that button. He's got the same actor as Joe. That guy played 2 parts in this episode, apparently. He didn't. I'm just doing the same dumb person voice. That's just my drunk dumb person voice, apparently.
It's a good drunk, dumb person voice to have.
So he's looking at his hands, and he's like, damn, my hands are sweaty. I must be really nervous. So then he rubs his face with them, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Didn't go wash his hands or anything.
Yep.
Did he and Sulu both contract the Maraca virus at the same time? Or did
Yeah.
they?
Yes.
How
No.
come Joe got, I forgot his name already. Finnegan?
O'Reilly?
Riley. God, I
Riley.
wanted to be an F name. How come Riley
Mr.
got hit with
Riley.
it so much faster? Is he just susceptible to it? Was this a warning about how you can be an asymptomatic carrier?
Who touched him first? Who touched Joe Knife Boy?
Riley did first. But Sulu sort of sneaks off the bridge before Riley.
Sulu's like, hey buddy, let's go work out in the gym instead of flying the spaceship. And Riley's
was great.
No.
I'm surprised Spock didn't catch it earlier because he was hanging around a lot of these people.
Well,
Oh,
I thought you meant that he didn't catch on. And I'm like, did you see how sneaky Sulu was being? Like, he was looking around like, da-da, da-da. I'm pretty sure George Takei was singing his own sneak music while he did that.
Oh my god, that's so funny because he literally sneaks out like he's sneaking. Like
This episode is like
so funny.
It's a tour de force for George Takei as a comedic actor. He does so good at being just ridiculous and over the top.
He has the best reaction faces.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys see that cover I posted? The VHS cover for this episode back in the day?
With him, like, shirtless, holding a sword and a woman?
Yeah. the look on his face is the most ridiculous thing. It's amazing. So yeah, Sulu is, playing, pirates or something around the ship. Like, he's running around with his sword.
Sulu, who is an 18th century swashbuckler at heart, apparently, is what Spock later says. And I'm like, oh, all right, sure, why not?
I like how he pokes the sword.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know it was sharp. I don't know. Like, so we know it's sharp.
Yeah, that was weird how he pricked his thumb with it.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
I mean, you do a lot of dumb things when you're drunk.
True.
It seems like the whole thing with this virus is it kind of takes away your inhibitions, and you're not really able to think clearly. So.
Yeah, it makes everyone real horny too. And not just the men. Like, I was kind of like, the men were like real creepy, and then they showed a woman doing the same, and I was like, oh, that makes me feel slightly better.
Yeah. Well, like, what's her name? Well, the guy goes up to the nurse, right? Was it Nurse Chapel in this episode?
Chapel.
Yeah.
It was
Nurse Chapel.
They only said her first name.
Played by the late Majel Roddenberry.
That's right.
You'll see her again.
Well, she said we could call her Christine, so that's what I'm going to call her.
That's great. Yeah, she actually appears in more episodes than anyone else in the franchise, I want to say.
That's
yes,
weird.
That's true. Majel Barrett is in more episodes of Star Trek than any other person.
Yeah, she plays numerous characters throughout the multiple shows.
It's up to Tyler to try to spot her in each episode.
That's
in
a good
most
idea.
of them.
Yep. Oh yeah, so Sulu's running around the ship with his sword, and he runs into two crew members, and he's like, on guard, or whatever he says,
Stand. No father.
Yeah.
And I just love the reaction on their faces. They're just like, what? Like, they don't say anything. They just kind of stand there and stare. It almost looks like they're not even surprised, like this has happened before,
Sulu got into the Romulan ale again. Now he's out with his sword in the hallways, waving his sword at people.
Put that thing away.
They only seem concerned when he actually starts slashing at them, and then they just start running.
That one guy, so like everyone has like similar uniforms except for that guy. He looks like he's wearing a bathrobe.
Is it a red one?
No, it's blue.
Yeah, I think it was blue.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm guessing he's like a mechanic or something. It's supposed to be a jumpsuit, but looks like a bathrobe.
Oh yeah, it is. That that's the like on the job engineering uniform, I think, at this point.
That reminds me, so the joke about red shirts always being the one who dies. Joe dies in this episode.
Yeah.
And
Joe Redshirt wears a blue shirt.
Yeah, he's wearing a blue shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, that's just like a false memory we all have that red shirts die more often because apparently gold shirts die more often.
Huh.
Statistically speaking, red shirts die less, but...
That's weird. Yeah. Well, there's definitely a few iconic red shirt deaths. I think that's why they stick with us,
Well, I think they often are, like, completely expendable. Like, Joe at least got some lines. I think the red shirt deaths are often like, all right,
extras.
Me, Spock, and that guy are going to beam down to the planet. And then they beam down and they go, oh, shit, that guy died. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Well, because the red shirts are usually security. So, they're usually they can be background characters. Whereas blue shirts are usually like science officers or doctors, and then gold shirts are usually, well, captains.
Command.
And there's a lot of captains that die and go crazy and other things.
Yeah.
We'll get to
Space
those.
is weird. Space is not a safe place to be. Joe was right. We should just all stab ourselves with space butter knives.
We don't belong here.
Yeah, and that's not even getting into all the radiation and everything else that's out there.
Right.
Oh my god. We're going to have some really... because this episode's clearly about like a viral thing going through this ship and causing everyone to act drunk. But there's like incidents with radiation and weird gases and different life forms in this show, and that there's just weird situations come out of this, out of all those situations, and it's just great.
And they just kind of roll with it. Like it's just a normal day on the Enterprise. You would think like after any one of these episodes, everyone on the ship would have PTSD, you know?
It makes you wonder why more of them don't have PTSD, especially because they're not supposed to be a military organization. They're supposed to be a scientific one.
I mean, they're military light.
Yeah. I mean, with how many conflicts they get into with, various alien races and stuff.
So I need you to help me with what happened. Oh wait, no, I remember one more thing that happens before I stopped watching the episode, which is, well, Joe dies. Baha. That sucks. You were bad at staying safe. But then Riley is supposed to be going to the medical offices, and he goes, he flirts with the nurse. And then he's like, I'm going to go take over engineering instead. And he takes over the whole dang ship all by himself. And he's like, this is my ship now, Captain Irishman O'Reilly. This is mine. Nobody else's.
I love Kirk's reaction to that, too. He's just, like, annoyed. He's like, oh, please, God, stop.
he does more than flirt with the nurse, because he touches her face, and that's how she gets it.
Yep.
He's real creep.
It's super creepy.
He was so annoying. I don't know if he's normally an annoying character, but he was so annoying. Like, I had a headache while watching this the last time, and he would not stop singing. And I really felt Kirk, like, he was getting pissed. I felt it.
And now, crew, I will render Kathleen one more time.
Please, not again.
I think this is his first and last appearance, isn't it?
Oh, really?
It is.
You were wrong.
I wasn't even telling that because one of the questions I want to ask each episode is who Tyler's favorite and least favorite main character was. And I like that question because I think he will often pick somebody who's not a main character.
Well, okay. So I know a lot of the main characters from the original series. So, like, I mean, I recognize obviously like Sulu, Kirk, Spock.
No, Kirk and Spock are two different people, Tyler. His name's not Kirk Spock.
Kirk Spock? No. Dang, I'm forgetting what McCoy. That's the doctor's name, right? But he also gets called Bones. So is his first name Bones? Is he Bones McCoy?
No,
it's disappointing.
Bones is his nickname because he's the doctor.
His name is Leonard.
It's disappointing. Can we just call him Bones McCoy? Sounds cool.
No, you call him McCoy or you call him Bones. You don't call him Bones McCoy.
Bones McCoy. That sounds like a good name.
So then how do they... I know that like Scotty's like the only way we're going to get our ship back is if we like cut a hole in the wall. But then as I skim through the episode, I see Scotty crawling through Jeffrey's tubes. So how do they get the ship back?
They cut a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, what's Scotty
doing
about
in the
that
Jeffrey's
scene?
tubes?
So there's that scene where he's trying to cut through the wall, and was it Kirk he was talking to, or no? It was Spock, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes,
Spock says, we've only got so much time or whatever, and he's like, and he stops what he's doing, and he's like, this will take 14 minutes, or whatever, and if we don't cut corners, basically, is what he's saying. Like he wants to be safe. But, like, the fact is, like, this is an urgent situation, and he stops to turn to talk to him instead of continually working, frantically. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that Spock's, like, he says he's going to be, like, a minute and a half, like, short.
Yeah. And they're like wasting time talking about it.
Like this conversation is that amount of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what they just had to cut that little like very precise hole in the wall?
Why did it have to be that shape? I don't understand. Like, I guess to avoid other stuff that was on the other side, maybe?
I guess. I don't know. It seemed a little weird.
So what was the last thing you saw, Troy?
I think that's about as far as I've gotten. I'm just looking through the rest of the episode.
Did you get to the Kirk Spock fight?
No, and I didn't get to the Kirk and Nurse Chapel fight either. Or not fight. Flirt is the word that I meant to say.
I was about to say they fought. I didn't get to that either.
They fought with love.
What about that one scene where there's like the engineering guy and he's holding like a paintbrush and he's just hysterically laughing?
That's weird. Yeah, like he had wrote like 2 things on the wall and he just thought they were hilarious. One's like repent sinners and was the other one like love humanity or something like that?
Love mankind.
Love mankind, yeah.
I was like, what's the context?
I don't know. That guy's weird.
The caption for that photo on Memory Alpha says, Spock finds emotionally disturbing graffiti.
That's great.
So, Kirk and Spock fight? Okay, wait, no.
They get into a slap fight.
Spock and Nurse Chapel's first, right?
Yeah,
where
I think
she's
so.
like,
because that's
hey,
how he gets
I've always
it.
wanted to have sex with you. And Spock's like, me too, gotta go. Is that basically what that scene is?
He's like, emotions. No, I don't feel them. And she's like...
And then he's like trying not to cry.
Yeah. So she mentions that Vulcan men treat their women strangely. How do they treat their women?
Oh, you'll find out. Bow chicka wow wow.
Okay.
Tyler looks very concerned right now. I was wondering exactly what he meant. I know there's episodes. We'll get into that, I guess.
Yeah. It's also weird that I guess Vulcans don't have blood pressure.
It's just very low blood pressure. And apparently Bones knows nothing about Vulcan anatomy. He's just like, I don't know.
Which is weird because the Vulcans are like one of the main species in the Federation, you know.
Right.
How does he have a license?
I think we need to set a ground rule for this show. This is jumping back to the point before, but I think we need to set a ground rule. In Picard, I liked answering Tyler's questions. In this show, I think we need to not answer any of Tyler's questions. I think you should ask your questions when you have them.
Oh, okay.
But we won't answer them because we'll get there eventually.
unless it's something that's not answered in another episode. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, okay. we'll play it by ear.
But just in general, I think we want to let Tyler discover the answers on his own.
Yeah,
we're here as his Sherpas, not as his Wikipedia.
So, Wikipedia question: what is a boson? I keep seeing like in subtitles every time there's a whistle, it says boson whistle. Is that a thing, or is that just like?
I think that's a naval term.
Maybe
the whistle that goes.
I think so.
I think.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was a thing.
No, it's just that noise that's being made. But one of the one of the key moments in this thing is they discover a cure for whatever's happening in like a matter of hours, essentially.
Yeah, it's really fast.
Yeah,
it took them a while to really like start putting a quarantine into place, but like they got that cure fast.
Yeah.
I guess because the runtime of the episode was coming up.
I don't know that they ever got a quarantine in place.
They did keep changing out people on the bridge, which I liked, where Spock is like, I don't know, you over here, do you know how to fly the ship? And the guy's like, I watch Sulu sometimes. He's like, good enough, get up here.
I like how Kirk was just like shaking people, and he's like, get him out of here, because like he was just passed out.
He was not holding it together very well.
When someone in a blue shirt is flying the ship, things have gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Oh, yeah.
That's very true.
So tell me about the fight.
You mean the part where Spock bitch slaps Kirk across the table?
Yeah. No. Well, what happens is Kirk is trying to get Spock back into like a frame of mind to be helpful, and Kirk slaps him.
Do you hear me? We've got to risk a full power start.
And then he slaps him like a few more times because he doesn't seem to be getting through to it, Spock.
You've got to hear me.
Just for emphasis.
Yeah, and then Spock just hits him once and he flies across the room, essentially. It's really hilarious.
And just to be clear, Kirk's uniform doesn't get ripped in this scene, right?
No.
Nope.
It totally gets ripped.
Not in that scene.
No. That's at the end.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize when his shirt got ripped until Troy. So you watched half of this episode. I watched this episode 3 times.
We've probably seen this episode the same number of times now in real life.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't
overall.
notice when his shirt got ripped until the last time I watched it. I was like, oh, that's when that happened.
Yeah, like McCoy like rips his shirt to inject him with something.
Yeah, and he like doesn't react to it. He just keeps walking.
He just keeps walking. It's such a great moment because it's like, what? Why didn't he have him like roll up his sleeve or something?
I remember that moment, even though I didn't watch it this time around. Like, I remember that happening because I'm like, what? That was so unnecessary, Bones.
Yeah, it was.
Come on.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
I need a gift of
anyone
else's shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Kirk has a writer in his captaincy contract that says that he cannot finish a mission without ripping his shirt. So,
so before the slap fight, Spock's having like a emotional breakdown while holding a computer.
Yeah, he's like reciting like math. I want to say.
I don't know what he's doing, but like I have subtitles on, and it's just like he's holding the computer, and it's like sobbing. That's what the subtitle says. So yeah,
yeah, he was saying like 2, 4, 6, 8.
If you see it without sound and you just see him holding a computer sobbing, it looks like he just saw like 2 Girls, 1 Cup or something like that.
Oh God.
Hey, my family has been watching TV together because we're still at my parents' place, and my dad was like, "What about this new show I found?" And it's inside. Is it Amy Schumer? And it's like a sketch comedy show that she has. And I think it's Amy Schumer. But anyway, the first scene of the very first episode is a casting director casting 2 Girls, 1 Cup. And he goes through and explains 2 Girls, 1 Cup in vivid detail.
Nice.
And my whole family, like my parents were there, my cousin was there, my wife is there. And I'm just like, why is this happening? And then I was like, nobody acknowledged that this video is real. Please don't acknowledge that this video is real. And then my wife was like, so has anybody seen 2 Girls, 1 Cup? And I was like, what? So that was fun. Didn't think I was going to have reason to talk about that on Too Young for This Trek, but hey, we go all over the place.
At least your parents didn't want to like Google it or something afterwards, right? Right? That didn't happen, did it?
That's true. It could have been worse.
Troy, this is giving me flashbacks to the Rippletron episode.
Did we do an episode where we like live commented on 2 Girls, 1 Cup? Because that sounds like something we would have done.
It was Octopus Soup or something like that.
Oh, I stopped watching those. No. Anyway, back to Star Trek.
Yeah, I avoid that kind of shit.
Then they all fly off into space, and it goes.
I'm Troy.
And I'm MC.
And we host the best animated shows ever so far.
Where we watch, discuss, and rank every animated show ever. Eventually.
Listen in by searching for the best animated shows ever so far on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or head to probablywork.com.
Join the conversation by finding us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram by searching BASESF Cast. That's BASESFCAST.
And don't change the channel.
So how do they go back in time? I think I get everything else. Like, okay, they developed a cure, they administered it by ripping people's shirts off, but then they rebooted the engines. I know that that's the thing that happens.
Yeah,
it happens
so
a lot.
they didn't
And
have.
then they
needed 30
time?
minutes to reboot the engines the normal way. So the whole reason they needed Spock is because they didn't have that much time, and they had to somehow combine antimatter and like normal matter, like cold, I guess.
Well, that happens always in the antimatter reaction chamber.
But yeah, so they couldn't heat it up first. So they're like, we have to mix this at a certain ratio. And then I guess they mix it and it makes more power than usual. So then they just go faster.
It was like nitro.
I think it's really funny because when, is his name Scotty? Is that the engineer? Okay.
Montgomery Scott.
Yeah. When he was, I think it was when he was, when he was talking about starting the engine, he's like, I can't change the laws of physics. And then they kind of do, because then they go faster than is possible. Yeah.
I cannot change the laws of physics, Captain. That's a classic line. Well, it's never a good plan for your ship to go faster than warp 10. That can lead to some truly, truly awful results. This, going back in time 3 days, that's nothing.
It's all in a day.
It was a little weird, though. It's just so weird to me that they threw this in the last 5 minutes of the episode. Because all the original series episodes, they're very episodic. Like, you can pretty much watch them in any order. There's almost no continuity, you know? There's I guess, a couple character things that'll come up later. But this almost felt like it was the setup for another episode. And I was like, oh shit, is this a two-parter? And I didn't realize it? But no. They resolved it.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Here's the thing that I can't get over.
It did feel like foreshadowing, though.
Kirk and Solo both were infected, and at the end of the show, they're both on the bridge. Look, why aren't they in bed rest?
Shots.
Yeah, they got
their
cured.
shots. They're fine.
Oh, that's not how that works.
They didn't come up with a treatment. They didn't come up with a vaccine. They came up with a cure.
Exactly. Everyone's going to get it and have to be cured.
Yeah, but I think Spock just got over it on his own.
Well, he's half Vulcan, so he can do things like that.
Yeah, it's lack of blood pressure.
Use the power of math and logic and willpower.
So yeah, I think that's the episode.
Real quick. Sorry. What do you got?
Go
Troy?
for it.
So Kirk, when he had the reaction, he was like touching the ship and like acting really strangely. What'd you guys think of that?
He wants to bone the ship.
Yeah, I was going to ask. The first time I watched it, I thought he was talking about I don't know, the blonde lady with the red shirt. I don't know her name.
Yeoman, Janice Rand.
Sure,
that's right.
Because
God, why do I know these things?
In like the final scene, he like looks at her and he like goes to touch her hair, and he's like, no. So I thought like maybe he was talking about being in love with her, but then the last time I was like, he's definitely wanting to fuck this ship.
He's talking about the ship because he says, "I know now why they call it her." And he's like, oh, as he's like touching the wall of the ship. It's just weird.
Oh yeah,
it's that song Brandy, like my love, my life, my love, my lady is the sea. Except for him, it's the Enterprise. I was gonna say C, but he never served on that one. Just the regular and then the A and then the B. But he wasn't on the C.
Wait, is that why Kirk was so upset about the graffiti?
Because he's like, you've defiled my woman.
Yeah, I guess so.
I like every time that the ship like I don't know, rocks. I don't know if rocking makes sense in space. Like they just like throw themselves.
There's gonna be plenty more of that.
That's great.
Tyler, I need you to look something up because
is it two girls, one cup?
I'm not sure. No one looked that up.
Yeah, please don't really.
Don't.
Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit, yeah.
Just don't. So they shoot those scenes, and there's video of it.
It's Star Trek Stabilized is what you want to Google.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. They record it. So everything, like the camera's set up normally, and they're like, okay, action everyone. And everyone acts like they're
getting thrown
there's
about.
like turbulence, and it looks ridiculous. And then what happens is they go in and they shift it like so it looks like the ship's moving as well, and it makes it look. Well, it still looks kind of ridiculous.
Usually it looks pretty good, but sometimes it looks very dumb.
Well, in the original series, it looks ridiculous more often than not.
It did in this episode.
Next Generation and from then on, but yeah, Star Trek Stabilized. You got to look it up because it's so funny.
There are some times you'll notice. Whoa, hang on. There are some times you'll notice it when it's like they coordinated it really well, where you're like, ooh, that looks real. Everyone lurched the same direction, like the same amount.
Yeah.
That's like much later that it gets consistently good.
I also liked when they were going faster than possible, how everyone's just doing this. Listeners, I'm sorry, I'm about to do something physical. Yeah, they're like... It totally looked like Kirk was having an orgasm.
Also, faster than possible?
They don't see
like,
weird
that didn't
3D
make any
versions
sense.
of their own face when they do that, do they?
Any what?
The weird 3D models of their own face?
Oh, not in this one. That's Star Trek 4.
No.
Yeah, because there's a few times where they like break that, warp 10 barrier, I want to say, where they're just going, insanely fast, and the way they show that is different every time. So it happens once in the original movie. It happens in Star Trek 4. It happens in Voyager. I think it happens in TNG at one point too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like completely different every time. And then the effects of going faster than that, whatever that speed is completely different every time too.
So I want to ask you a couple questions at the end of each episode. I don't have them written yet, so MC and Eric, I'm very open to you guys helping me out with them. The first one is, like I said earlier, who was your favorite and least favorite regular character in this episode?
I like that idea.
So regular, I'm going to go with not knowing that Riley wasn't a recurring character, because I 100% thought he was. And he was definitely my least favorite. He was so annoying. My favorite, I think I like Spock the most in this episode. I looked up a little bit about it, like just a little bit, and I saw that this is like the first time the Vulcan nerve pinch was used. And I thought it was interesting that don't explain it. He just does it.
Yeah, and Kirk goes, "You'll have to teach me that one of these days," which is a good line. Good line.
I also think we need to point out this is technically the 7th episode, but it was the 4th one released.
Right, yeah.
Because we had a little discussion about that prior.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they threw in the little bit of time travel at the end of this episode to explain why all the episodes are out of order.
Everything else that you've seen happens over the course of the next 3 days.
Yeah. Exactly. So about that, so I mentioned before when we were doing Picard that I've seen a little bit of the original series, and when I saw this was episode 4, I was like, did I see this episode? Definitely didn't. So yeah, I don't know what order. I watched it when it was on Netflix a long time ago, and yeah.
So I watched on Netflix. This is episode 5.
Okay,
but production order it's episode 7. Well, it's because they put. Never mind.
Okay,
I would have to give away episode titles to explain why.
Does it involve the menagerie?
That's a good point.
Because I know that was different in the order I watched it.
It is not the menagerie.
Because I've seen part 1 of that. I haven't seen part 2.
Oh, good.
Oh, man, part 2 is great.
What else did I want to ask? I was going to ask your favorite or what you thought of the alien makeup. But in lieu of alien makeup, I guess, what'd you think of the red goo?
Well, there is alien makeup. Like Spock's there. Spock looked good.
I guess that's true.
Alien goo looked fine, I guess, for alien goo. There wasn't much about it. I'm surprised, like, I don't understand what the alien goo was, because, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you think he would have gotten it from, like, touching one of the dead people, but then I guess they got it from the sweat, so...
Maybe that was alien sweat.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's the second alien bodily fluid I've talked about today, thanks to MC and the best animated shows ever so far. The other one was grosser. I'll leave it at that.
Was this from Dragon Ball Z?
No, we're on to a new show. I can't tell you what. Wait, this comes out the same day. I can tell you. We're watching Men in Black, the series.
I've seen a few episodes of that.
Show. Yeah.
Actually, I guess we talked about a lot of alien bodily fluid in that. So I've talked about a lot of alien bodily fluid today. Anyway,
can you name those? Can you list those bodily fluids?
Wasn't the pug a main character on the cartoon?
Not as far as I've watched so far.
Oh, okay.
Sort of.
Shows up a lot.
What else should we ask Tyler at the end of each episode before we ask him whether this was good, meh, or bad?
Well, it doesn't really work for this one.
Special effects.
But maybe we could have him guess which season it's in of whatever show we're watching. We kind of ruined that for this one.
He'll have to look that. Well, you mean when he picks the title?
Yeah.
When he picks the title, I mean, he has no context to guess. And in order to watch it, he has to know. Because I thought about that too. But I can't think of a way to make it work well. I don't know.
Well...
Yeah, no, I was thinking we ask him about the special effects on the show.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's fair.
Like, because each show, like, they have different good and bad points.
Okay, so maybe
whether it's makeup or set design.
Alien makeup. Yeah, it could just be like good highs and lows for special effects.
You could include just costumes in that too.
And set design.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, because those costumes at the very beginning of this, they look like they were wearing bubble wrap.
PPE?
Like, it looks like...
they were... That's what Meg said, too.
Yeah, it looks like some of the pictures you see of people, like, wearing, like, whatever they can find to go to grocery stores right now because of the coronavirus. I don't know if you've seen, like... I've seen a person with, like, a jug, like, a big jug of water over their head. And they just, like, cut out some breathing holes and...
I saw a woman in a full latex bodysuit, and the great thing about that was the comments on it from people saying, latex actually is, like, very attractive to viruses, so you can just be bringing home everything when you wear that.
So don't do that.
The great thing about that picture is a dude in the background looking at her like, "Bah!" And it's like, man, that guy just discovered his fetish, just right there in the grocery store.
Nice.
I do want to point out, Meg loved this episode. We watched it earlier today. She was just cracking up the entire time.
That's what you want from Star Trek.
Yeah.
I guess we may think of more questions as we go, but for now, Tyler, was this good, meh, or bad?
So when I'm saying something's good, like you were just saying right there, is funny good? Like, so bad it's funny? Because I thought it was bad.
So bad it's funny, no, but Star Trek does do comedy episodes from time to time.
I don't know if they were trying to be funny. I think the Sulu stuff was supposed to be funny, I think. But I don't think everything else in this episode was supposed to be funny, like them wearing bubble wrap. And then, like, hearing, like, maracas every time they got a disease. Although that would be super helpful right now.
Oh my god, yes.
Do you guys hear those maracas?
Dramatic.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So where are you finished, Tyler?
What?
Is it in the bad category or the meh category?
I'm saying bad.
It's bad?
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. Tyler, we had this on our good list.
Really? Oh.
Yep. We did.
I wouldn't call it
episode.
Great, but
it's not great, but it's a fun. I think this one is I like this episode for the, like, Star Trek doing comedy. Like, it's just over the top and silly. And I think that's intentional.
Yeah.
Personally.
I don't know.
I agree.
It was maybe just after watching Picard, which is very serious. Like, it has funny moments.
Yeah.
Like, this was very much the opposite. The special effects and costumes and everything were bad. But, yeah, I don't know. The acting was all weird.
It's very over the top.
Yeah.
I kind of love that this is the episode that we follow up to Picard with. Because you're right, it is as far as we can get from there.
Yeah.
It's not only one of the earliest, it's bonkers. It's absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
You also got to think about, like, it is from, like, the 60s.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it wasn't, like, a big budget show.
Well, and another thing I like to keep in mind when watching, like, the original series is that a lot of people didn't even have color TVs back then, and they were tiny. So a lot of the details didn't, like, in HD on a big screen, we can see that, yeah, that's a mannequin on the ground, like, but, it was a little bit more, I guess, convincing back then, I want to say, just because of the resolution
that's
they were watching it at.
That's a very good point.
I think part of it is like Picard is what Star Trek is to me right now, and this felt like an episode of the X-Files that was
same.
Not X-Files. Damn it. What's the
Doctor Who?
No. Dang it. I can only think of the Futurama parody title, The Spooky Door. Twilight Zone. Yeah, I don't know why I can think of Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
This felt like an episode of the Twilight Zone to me.
Okay, that's fair.
See, those are the best episodes of Star Trek, because I actually love the Twilight Zone.
I love the Twilight Zone.
I was like, oh no, what am I in for?
The only good episodes of the Twilight Zone are ones that have to do with aliens and being in space. The other ones are just kind of like...
Well, then you're going to like Star Trek.
That's every episode.
With that, Tyler, it's time for you to open up the list.
Okay. I put some thought into this already.
Oh, all right.
So I see there's another episode with Naked in the title. So I thought like maybe we do the Naked Now, but then I'm like, is that another original series episode? I kind of want to see something else. So...
Well... Do we want to tell him, Troy?
Nope, we can't tell him. We can't tell him.
Okay, we can't.
So I think I'm going to pick something kind of random, and
as it should be.
I'm going to go with Flashback. Flashback.
Oh, is this the one I'm thinking it is?
I don't even know what Flashback is.
I think I. Oh God, I think I know which one this is.
That's a. Good...
Oh, okay. Let me pull up the preview. This is a Star Trek Voyager episode.
Okay. Voyager is a series that people mostly don't like, right?
That's an opinion.
It is not the most beloved. I will say that. Atticus, we're just gonna watch the trailer. It's okay.
Atticus doesn't like Voyager.
Sharing my screen and.
Am I allowed to say that I like Voyager?
Hang on. There's no audio.
I think it's one of those shows that it has a lot of really bad episodes, but the good ones kind of make up for it.
Sorry.
To stop a deadly fission.
It's so loud.
To end one man's madness.
Your mind to my mind.
They must go back in time.
My first deep space assignment aboard the Excelsior.
Back with a legend.
Are they going back 3 days?
What are you doing on my ship?
Back into battle.
Oh, it's Sulu.
Klingons.
But can they survive?
My God.
The ultimate flashback on the next Star Trek Voyager.
What's left of throwing themselves?
Dark Seduction Week.
Ooh.
I don't know why that ended saying Dark Seduction Week. Let's ignore
that. Dark Seduction?
Yeah, so
What was going on UPN at the time?
So in trying not to pick an original series episode, it seems like I sort of did.
You picked a tie-in episode. This couldn't have been a more perfect follow-up episode.
I'm so excited.
Because this is like one of the... Okay, so we just watched one of the most memorable Sulu episodes, and we're about to watch one of the other most memorable Sulu episodes.
It was so memorable, though, that none of you remembered what it was.
Dude, there's a lot of Star Trek titles. Okay, give us a break.
Flashback's kind of a generic title, to be fair. So yeah, I knew it was a time travel episode. I was just trying to remember if it was this episode or the episode with Riker. Well, actually, that's not a time travel episode. That's a... Never mind.
Yeah.
You know, I was getting it mixed up. I was like, which one is it?
So
I'm happy it's this one and not the other one.
So, Tyler, this will be Voyager Season 3, Episode 2.
Okay.
And it should be that no matter where you're watching.
Eric's getting real laggy, so I think that means it's time to wrap up the show.
Guys.
Like, yeah, Eric, you were just laughing, and it was like...
Make sure you include that audio. We should make that a sound effect. Oh, that's another thing. We really need to come up with some sound effects for the show.
We may have to do that. That sounds like a lot of work, though. We'll see.
What sound effects?
Anyway. Yeah, because then Tyler's got to go put them all in all over the place.
I mean, it depends on what we're using them for.
Well, you know what sound effect we don't need? We don't need a transporter sound effect, because we can do that ourselves when we beam over to the Delta Quadrant to beam out.
We got to do plugs first.
Oh, dang it, plugs! Oh, no.
Beam back in.
Ah.
All right, let me I'm going to recall everybody.
You can listen to more of MC and Troy on the best animated shows ever so far, where they watch, rank, and review every cartoon ever so far based on the first 3 episodes. Apparently they're watching Men in Black, the animated series right now. You can also hear more of Troy on Turtle Power Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with Turtle Power, also known as TPP, WTP, where Troy plays games in a powerful way. He just did his 100th episode, and to commemorate it, he did nothing special.
Not a damn thing.
He posted it, and then Bill was like, "Was that your 100th episode?" And he was like, "Damn it." So yeah, you can find more of Erik's work on Epic Fails of History. That's Epic with a K, where it talks about humanity's greatest failures and what we can learn from them. You can hear more of me on Too Young for This Hit, which you maybe listened to prior. Maybe that's how you found us. I don't know. Where I watch things I've never seen before with people who love them. And you can find links to everything I just mentioned in the show notes, as well as a link to everyone's social media and a link to our Discord channel, where you can chat with us about Star Trek and other stuff. Also follow our new Twitter. Do you know what it is off the top of your head, Erik?
It's Too Young for This Trek, and the 2 is the number 2, and 4 is the number 4.
Okay, I thought it was that, but I wasn't
mistaken.
sure. Yeah, and I think that's Instagram also.
I think we use the same one for both, yeah.
Yep.
Tyler doesn't know because he's blocked from both accounts so that he can't see spoilers.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
I'm so used to posting everything on social media for our network in general, so like it's weird not being able to see it. I can still tag you guys in things, which is weird. But yeah.
And don't forget, you can hear all of us on Podcasters Assemble.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about the Bond movies this season.
Yeah. So with that, Troy, you want to beam us out?
Beam over the Delta Quadrant 4, beam out.
Googly gooks. This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
@ProbablyWork for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.